introduce Coach Jeremy to you?
Oh man, I followed him for a while now, since Mad Tiger, and I'm just blessed to be a part of his team. It's just the change that this team has done inside of me is just is twofold, man. I'm just so blessed to be a part of the team. I've finally learned what team sports is in jiu-jitsu. My whole life I played team sports, and this is definitely a team to be a part of. He's a very good coach. Yeah, everybody wants to be around him. Yeah, when you get to know him, you see why.
Yeah, there he is. How you, brother?
Good.
Straight out of the gym. How you feeling, right?
Good. Solid. Conditioning feels good, so yeah.
You were working them out there.
Oh yeah. First competition training. Last week we did like an intro. Today we pushed it hour half with just straight training.
Coach Jeremy, he's fucking one of the toughest guys that I know, and he's probably one of the best on the island. You know, this is the first jiu-jitsu gym I joined, and he's super patient, he's super humble, and easy to work with. So yeah, I've grown a lot.
Oh man, Coach Jeremy, he's reinvigorated my jiu-jitsu. I've been training 15 years, and when I met him and seen his passion, it got me so motivated. I always want to compete because I know whatever he has taught me has made me a better jiu-jitsu fighter. So I want to try and show that in competition. But it's because he's a good role model and he shows us, you know, a great example as a leader in jiu-jitsu. So very thankful for him, because without him, I wouldn't be training, nor my kids.
Thank you.
But
That's beautiful.
awesome guy. Right on.
Well put, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Jeremy Nitta. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is another episode, one of the vast ambassadors here on the South Shore in Hawaii. And I couldn't be happier to be here with you, Jeremy. Really good to meet you. Thank you very much for making time. Sitting here in Jeremy's studio, it's called TRXTR, which stands for?
Trickster Studio.
Trickster. Ah, yes,
the
yeah,
tricks,
the trickster,
yeah.
the trickster, the prankster. Got you. Okay. Trickster Studio. How long's it been here?
Little over 3 years now. November of this year is gonna make 4 years. November 1st is when I got the keys October, but I did the fully open. Everything was built and painted on November 1st. I did a grand opening.
How many students do you have?
Close to 300, 400.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. Is it like a membership?
But there's a bunch of options too. You could do like, because we have a lot of EMTs and stuff, or nurses that their schedules are always iffy, like fire, police, and all of that, first responders. So we have like even options where you can get a 10-pack, 10 classes, and it's good for like 2-3 months. Just so if you're inconsistent, you're not paying a whole month, and you're not able to like just be consistent in a week. Yeah.
That's cool. You thought this one through.
Yeah.
And then do you have like classes like at strange times as well?
Yeah, morning, nights.
Not in the
every
night.
day. Nah, just in the evening.
Oh, okay, yeah, early evening. That's when I was here with Macy.
Yeah.
But let's start off with Jeremy as a young man growing up.
So I kind of grew up. I was born and raised on the island here, Oahu. Grew up more in Mililani. My dad was Air Force, and then I guess he was just like trying to get into HPD when I was born, and then right when he got into the department, we moved out. We bought a house in Waianae on the west side, right across the ocean. So grew up pretty much paradise right there. Just growing up, always like chilling at the beach, and the mountain Miley pillbox is right in the back, hiking the mountain, just fishing, just living the island life. And then a little later on, I think just normal childhood, just playing in the neighborhood with all my friends. And then a little later, I started getting into skateboarding with a lot of my friends. I don't even remember how. I think just we were bombing hills, and then I think Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out, and then he just started trying to copy a lot of those tricks on the curb and whatnot. Started to go to skate parks. And then from there, high school, still skating a little, on and off. All my dad's side of the family all were big into motorcycles. And then kind of was like looking on Craigslist for a motorcycle. I was going through driver's ed at the same time. Ended up like talking my uncles into buying me like just a simple 250 Ninja. Started riding, got pretty into it fast, and then they wanted to give me one of their bigger bikes. If I made it around the island on like a little cruise, they're gonna give me one of their, it's like a ZX 900 Kawasaki. Made it around the island with the bike without dropping it. That was the deal. And then he gave me that bike. Sold both of my bikes. This is like summer break of my like sophomore year, like going into my junior year. And then sold both of the bikes, bought me a brand new Yamaha R1. First day of my junior year, came rolling up with a R1. I think I started getting into drag racing my junior year. It got too expensive.
Before we get there, let's just go back a little bit. So the deal was that if you could cruise around the island on the bike, on which bike?
My uncle's ZX9.
On the ZX9.
Real big bike.
Real big bike. If you could make it around the island without any scratches, without any sort of mishaps, you're going to get upgraded.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's when you got the R1.
I sold, when I had that for a little while during summer. And then right before I went back to school, I kind of sold those on Craigslist and then put a down payment on a brand new R1. At the same time, I was working like a part-time job at McDonald's in Anakuli. So just so I could make my payments. And then, I rolled up with that first year of my junior year. And then just got big into drag racing. There was right down the road over here, there used to be a quarter-mile track in Campbell's Industrial. And then it just became too expensive. I was like, once you go past 120 miles an hour, past the finish line, you need full boots, leather suit, and that's like easily like close to $2,000. And I was like 15, 16 years old at this time, so I was just making my payments barely.
So you were hooked on speed?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously skateboarding, it got to the point where it was fun to go fast, but you wanted to go faster.
Yeah, but I'd still do both. Now I had a bike to go to all the skate spots, the parks, any of the stairs I used to like hitting. So I kind of did everything, even growing up. Same like with my jiu-jitsu now, it's just like I felt like I always wanted to be rounded at anything I did. Where when I did skate, I made sure I had a half pipe on the side of my house. My grandpa built me like a 4-foot half pipe. I was good at half pipe, good at park and streets. I could hit stairs. I did a lot of maybe like 5 different competitions, Ever Beach Skate Park, and then from there, just high school, little back and forth with.
So that's kind of where you worked out. You were quite an athletic person.
Yeah, I was just more of a hobbyist, though. I used to I even consider myself like a hobby whore now, where I didn't like sports too much.
Okay, I was going to say, did you play any mainstream sports, or were you more
Just
into
soccer
the
a little bit.
counterculture more?
Yeah, just soccer a little bit. But it was really hard. My older sister, was a really good athlete, basketball player, soccer player, tennis, bowling, even through high school. Like, she's captain of everything. So everything I got into, if they knew my sister, they would make me follow in her footsteps. So she was a real good goalie. I went into soccer in high school. They put me in goalie. When I was growing up, ambidextrous, so I'm left and right-handed, and I could kick with both left and my right real good. But I was always a sweeper, but once they found out who my sister was, they always like, oh, you're going to go to the goalie. You're going to go in the goalie. And I was like,
you got tarred with the same brush. Thanks, sister. Nice of you. Okay, so your folks, you had by the sounds of it, quite a stable upbringing.
Yeah, my mom was a full stay-at-home mom. Babysat the whole time when I was growing up. Like, first it was like more of like helping with family, and then she started making it more of a business where people would drop off their kids 5 a.m. to go to work. And I would help her a lot, so I was always good with kids. That's why even opening up this school was like super easy for me. I was helped my parents like raise a lot of different kids since you're babysitting. And
it's interesting how that chapter in your life kind of geared you up to as you say, quite an easy transition into helping kids
Yeah.
through your studio.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have known that at the time,
Yeah.
but that's what was happening. You were kind of used to being around younger ones,
Yeah.
interacting with them. Mom was probably like, "Can you help with this?"
Yeah.
And it kind of groomed you for being a coach.
Yeah. And then, because it was just me and my sister, and then I think 7 years later, I had one more younger sister, and then 12 years later, one more younger sister. So middle child with 3 sisters, and I helped raise my little sisters a little bit too. But by that time, that's when I was getting big into skating, riding motorcycle, just always.
You had to balance those pheromones out with a bit of like proper boys' toys stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what also set you up quite nicely to be almost like that maternal, like, because you've grown up with so many women, right?
Yeah.
And they're so good at it.
Yeah.
And it's got to rub off on you, you know.
Oh yeah.
As a kid, did you have any challenges growing up that you had to overcome that may not have seemed big for other people, but for you at the time you found quite difficult?
Just schooling, I think, more so. I don't think ADHD was a big thing, or even like any of that stuff, ADD, but my parents never believed in like any medication, so they would never go and get me tested for that. But I had a real hard time in school staying focused, where a lot of my students, I can see, even my current girlfriend, fiance now, her son is autistic, and I can see, like, I understand a lot of his problems, where we have a lot of students that, like, you could tell they have ADHD or whatnot, or like on the spectrum, but it's like honestly a gift when you learn how to like kind of share your knowledge in the way that they can understand. Where like, even you interviewed Macy during COVID, me and Macy trained a lot. I think he was only a blue belt, but the way I teach is like finding common ground, and just Macy taught me how to surf. I was teaching him jiu-jitsu, and like we're just trading off techniques where like, I guess when he was telling me when I need to turn, I need to always look through where my upper body follows, my lower body is gonna follow after. And then same with jiu-jitsu, any sweep, if you're not looking through your sweep, you're not creating that torque, that momentum to really move if your opponent is a lot bigger too, or resisting to even move them. So we shared a lot of like things during COVID, and yeah, we just grew. I grew in surfing. Within like that whole year of COVID, I got crazy good in surfing. Like out of surfing 5 years before that, within that 1 year, night and day difference of just growing with me and Macy, just sharing techniques. Yeah.
That's interesting, because, you know, I was chatting to someone the other day about jiu-jitsu and the amount of surfers that actually are part of the movement and enjoy jiu-jitsu and what it does for them. So, like, what are the like crossover benefits and the synergy that you have experienced? I mean, you described it. It's like using your upper body, inertia, torque, whatever you want to call it, to get that fluid movement going. And I've seen it in your studio when you're going through certain moves. It's about like transference of weight and power. And but how would you sort of like describe the similarities between surfing or the benefits?
Or the biggest one is just getting your reps in the technique, like how we do on here. And it's definitely hard for the ocean. The waves are never consistent. You just always got to practice on something a little different. But the biggest thing is kind of just not being a spaz. You can be a spaz in the water. You can be a spaz on the mats. If you're forcing like a movement that you're trying to practice, it's all about timing. Like the right time, the person puts their hand on the mat, you're going to go for it. Same with the wave, pretty much. I try to, like, if I'm teaching a friend that trains how to surf, it kind of goes both ways, where I'm like, you can't be a spaz where you're going to snap at a section of the wave and the wave is flat. You're going to lose the entire wave. You got to wait for the wave to stand up a little taller, so when you hit it, you got the momentum coming back in it. Same way over here. If I'm trying to go for a move and my opponent knows it's coming and it's just kind of like sitting low, I'm not going to get it. I want to make them feel like they're a little more comfortable sitting upright. The base is a little more shallow, and I'm going to have more an advantage. It's all about timing, the right timing to hit the right moves, pretty much.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Timing is everything, right?
It's everything, yeah.
And once you get that timing right on a wave, on the mat, you can follow through and get an
It's almost effortless too with the right timing. Yeah. No matter how big the wave is, how big your opponent is, timing will make everything just seem effortless.
Because in surfing as well, you get some guys that aren't very big guys.
Yeah.
I mean, like Macy even, you know, he's not a big guy, but he can generate so much speed and so much power.
Launching off the waves, everything, yeah.
And would you say that's exactly the same in jiu-jitsu? Your size doesn't determine your skill set.
Timing of where the wave, what's the wave's doing, just like timing on the mat, what you're trying to apply, and how your partner, your opponent is addressing. Like their base shallow, their knees are too close together. You can tip them over. Their knees are too wide. Base is really wide, just like this tripod right here. Yeah.
Interesting. I got to spend some time with Joel Tudor.
Oh yeah, he's
And,
a solid jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah, proper. He's really into it and spoke to me about a few of the similarities between surfing and that. But he's got a lot of surfers as part of his practice.
Yeah.
Challenges of school, being someone who, you know, my son has also struggled, so we've had to homeschool him, you know, and we don't want to go that whole medication route either. But like you say, if you can harness that energy in a positive way, it's actually, like you say, a bit of a superpower, actually, to have that mindset of someone that you would traditionally label as ADHD. But now, if you can tap into that in a positive way, they can actually go so much further because of their sort of like abilities, which unfortunately for a lot of practitioners have been seen as a bit of a negative, but it's not. Cool. Okay, so now you're a young man, you've graduated, you're cruising around on an R1, you're obviously like feeling top of the pile right there, because that's a pretty dope bike. In terms of like your occupation, what did you decide that you wanted to do at that stage of your life?
I was still pretty confused. I was just like enjoying kind of going out, the party life, riding motorcycle. More so riding motorcycle. I was like, it kind of went from, like I said, racing on the track. I couldn't afford like all the gear I needed to race on the track. So I started like kind of taking cutoffs, hitting turns with my bike. Low-sided one day, somebody, like I think they were trimming the grass and had all grass over the road. So I low-sided, damaged my bike pretty bad, fixed it up, and then I got big into stunting motorcycles. And then
like stunting as in like trials bikes with leg ups where you can't put your legs down. You've got to come.
Just like a full street setup motorcycle, just wheelies on the freeway, circle wheelies in the parking lot, jumping on the tank, legs over the front.
Showing off, basically. That's cool. Did you know this about your coach? Did you know all this about him? Is it quite interesting? She's recording it all on her phone. No, I'm joking. That's cool. So you're a proper motorhead, eh?
Yeah.
But you were still skating, right?
Still skating. I think I crashed my bike really bad one time on the freeway. Somebody U-turned in front of me and I T-boned them at like 80 miles an hour. I got like all my scars all over me. And then...
Were you pretty serious?
Not bad. It was just like fractured pinky, fractured thumb, sprained ankle, and just bad road rash all over my body. I was only wearing shorts and a T-shirt and a dirt bike helmet when I crashed at 80 miles an hour.
Wow. So you didn't go into a coma and intensive care
Nothing.
and pins through your neck?
I was able to like sign not to take the ambulance pretty much. My both hands were like almost broken, so I just had me like just scribble whatever on the paper saying I didn't want to take it, just because I knew it's like a $700 fee to take the ambulance pretty much.
So you chose not to take an ambulance because it was going to cost $700.
Yeah.
So how did you get to the hospital?
So it was like a big cruise, and they didn't even have the crash on video on like the Race Sauce cruise. So
do you think we could get access to that?
I have it on a YouTube video too on top of my YouTube. It was a blessing too. I had my girlfriend at the time with me. I just dropped her off. It was on the K-Bay lookout, and we're just doing stunts right on the lookout. People are looking over, and we're just on H3 going back and forth. And I used to be kind of well known for wheeling with a passenger, like bringing it all the way back, almost to scrape the tail. And then I just dropped her off. I told her I was gonna fill up gas before the cruise left, and I was gonna hit a few more stunts, fill up gas, and then when I was coming back, it was a guy I knew too. There was a cop on the other side of the median, and he just panicked. He just got on the on-ramp, and he tried to U-turn back down the on-ramp. And he didn't look, he U-turned, T-boned him, flew over, tumbled, and then my bike is set up for stunts, so it's like caged up, so it just doesn't damage the bike. If the bike just slides out. And I landed in front, and it slid 80 miles an hour and wedged me under and just dragged me maybe like 15, 20 yards.
Did you think you were did you think you were in big trouble when it was happening?
Not really. Actually, when we used to do stunt shows at the track, he actually did the same thing way back. And I was super good at stoppies, so I stoppied right before I hit him. And then this time it was just like too last minute. He pulled over on the side of the road. I was going around. I wasn't wheeling or anything. And then right before I knew it, he just cut right in front of me before I could even think of anything. I did grab my front brake, and it almost cleared him, but my knuckle hit his taillight, which was messed up because when it turned to insurance, any rear damage is your fault. The fact that I hit his taillight when he U-turned in front of me put me at fault of the accident.
Oh, wow. That is hardcore. Yeah. That's a bit of a rough one.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't your fault.
But then that set me for, I worked for Harley Davidson for 11 years after that, just trying to rebuild my bike. And then I started doing a lot of stunt shows for them. And it was like a real good, chill job. I didn't have to deal with, I didn't like dealing with too much customers. So they put me downstairs, and I specifically worked with the service department as their parts person. I was good on computers, so I did all the damage estimates. If a crash bike came in, I just go online and look up all the parts for them, for all the service writers and whatnot. And then just like living the dream, just building my motorcycles up, buying crash bikes and building them up too.
Sounds like you'd found your groove at quite a young age there. Yeah. That's cool. I see you wearing an Information shirt. So is that kind of how you got to link with Junjo and through the motorsport scene? Yeah,
it was more through Ryan, one of the owners too with Jun. And then Macy and Ryan started training with me at my old school with Milani. And then, because I didn't start to actually surf till I was like 27. And I didn't meet Macy until I was like around in my 30s. But yeah, I mean, like, it's just always weird. I just do, even everybody that knows me knows that I just do what I want to. Like, some days I'll just wake up and I'll be like, oh, I want to go skydiving. And I'll just call my friends up, go skydiving, and just anything random. And majority of my friends are just random like that, where I shoot them a text, they drop everything, and then they're on board. If I'm going to go charge a wave someplace, or if I'm going to want to hike a mountain like 12 at night.
I can relate to this, by the way, because I'm a creative out and out, and I haven't got an organizational bone in me.
Yeah.
I'm not organized. I don't plan my life. I don't plan next week. I kind of just like live in the moment.
Yeah.
Would you describe yourself as someone like that?
Exactly like that, yeah. Where majority of the organized people get pissed off at the way I am, just because I'm like last minute with a lot of stuff.
I think it's also because it's got to feel right.
Yeah.
And if something is planned, you don't know if what you've planned.
You can be more disappointed sometimes too, yeah.
You don't know if what you've planned or when you get there is so structured and so like thought out that when you get there, it doesn't feel right, and it's almost so disappointing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you kind of like do things that feel right in your gut and that bring you joy and make you happy. That's cool. That's an admirable quality in my books. Cool, man. And did you ever think of like becoming a stuntman?
I did for Hawaii 5-0 for a while. It's like working there. I was just everybody knew I put together all the people that did the stunt shows. So Cycle City is right next to the airport. There's all the motorcycles that you can see from the freeway. And then they would just shut down their whole parking lot for us, fence it off. And then they would even fly us to Maui. They have a Maui Cycle City too, and then we'd just do stunt shows over there too. And then
that's sick. So you did stunts for Hawaii 5-0?
Yeah. So
any other films?
I'm contracted in, so if they ever needed me, they could call me. But Like, kind of never got called for anything really other than that. I know it was just the best day ever. They shut down H3, which is like one of our favorite wheelie spots. And they just, me and one of my friends, everybody thought it was fake. All my friends that I tried getting to do it. So I ended up not even having a bike at that time, but most of my friends knew how good I was on a motorcycle that they trusted me where I could just borrow anybody's bike to go do it, stunts on.
That's sick. That's really sick. Where do you think your life would be if you hadn't found jiu-jitsu? Like, what does it mean to you personally?
I don't think I'd be as mellow as I am now. It's just kind of more of a spaz all over the place. Like I said, like I never dropped any of my hobbies. I'd still go hiking, surfing, skating, diving. Like still to today I do that, but it's more organized because I just feel I know how important jiu-jitsu is just for my mind, my body, everything, my health, everything like that.
So would it be fair to say that jiu-jitsu is the structure?
It's yes, major structure. Yeah.
Because you have to follow a set of gravity is gravity, right?
Yep.
And you have to follow a set of moves or premeditated shifting of weight and mind control and temperament. You know, it all combines,
Yep.
but it has to happen in a certain way in order to get one over on your opponent, right?
Yeah. And even for jiu-jitsu, like how you say, get one over, it's just, even growing up in elementary, intermediate, high school, I was just always like more of like the prankster of the group, always playing pranks on everybody, and that was just always my favorite thing to do. So that's what jiu-jitsu, where I took jiu-jitsu super quick. My dad was a karate instructor. I grew up doing a little bit of karate too. I never really liked it as much, but my dad was like an instructor for a school, so I would always have to go. Half the time I'd be like hiding. Once the class starts, I'd be under everybody's duffel bags, just kind of hiding, waiting. I would only be down to spar, so right when I knew after the second water break, put on your gear, and then we'd be sparring. So that's when everybody would start seeing me again. And like I think my parents knew that I was always doing that, even though I thought I was sly, just hiding underneath the table with all the duffel bags. And then, yeah, so like I kind of grew up in doing martial arts and all of that, but just kind of was never into it. And like even when I would fight and do like tournaments, a lot of times if I came up to fighting a friend of mine or something, I would just kind of tone it down, and I'd lose against always a friend. But with jiu-jitsu, I have a bunch of friends I fight against and whatnot, but it's not me punching anybody. It's pretty much me like misdirection. Look at this, boom, I got you. You fell into my trap pretty much, yeah.
When you're in that moment on the mat, you actually enjoy having a structured approach, knowing full well what the outcome might be.
Yeah, just setting up, like funneling everything to exactly where I want that person to be. And that's like pretty much the punchline of the prank. Yeah.
Got you. And so what we can say here is that the way in which you've described your life being very impulsive and not too planned, and then jiu-jitsu, which is actually very structured, if you think about it, it's actually you're trying to maintain a balance. Because if you were very organized and structured in your life and you're doing jiu-jitsu, which is also very organized, you'd kind of be sort of out of balance almost.
Yeah.
It's like the yin and the yang, right?
Yep.
What does surfing mean to you?
It's right now for me, it's just my freedom over everything. I mean, I love jiu-jitsu, but it became more of just a job too, which is not a bad thing. I'm like living my dream pretty much. I'm super lucky and blessed, but it's like having to structure classes and lessons, and at the same time, like there's a balance of when I have my old existing real good students, and then there's a lot of new students that come by, and I never want to make it where it's too hard for a new student. I believe jiu-jitsu is for everybody, so I'll try to water it down a little bit so a new student can come in. We try and plan where new students sign up. It's only like a certain time of the month, so we're not always just like 2 times in a week kind of going back because a lot of new students came in. So we try to always tell people if they have no experience, come like maybe the first week of the month. That way we can kind of reset and then roll into how we're going to be planning a lesson that week too. So I never want to shell shock. Like we're doing something where it's just like my body does not know how to do that. Like people can rarely do a front roll. And if we're doing like crazy spinning stuff on your back, it's just going to rub people the wrong way and give them a bad taste of jiu-jitsu.
So you got to balance it out and make sure that you
Make sure it's like stepping stones for it. It's not like, okay, you're just gonna jump now. Just go
in the deep end.
Yeah.
What is your perception or feelings around the brand and what Vast stands for and where they're going as a brand?
Man, it just like I met all the guys from the team. It's just a super positive team. Nobody is trying to one up each other. Like just a real like. That real vibe, that surfing vibe, that culture of just, just all the boys. Like even when we used to skate, we all meet up, go to a spot, hit some stairs. Even if you're catching cracks, everybody's like, oh, again, get the board, go again. And we're not fighting for any waves. If we're like getting closer to that next move that we're trying to get, that hard hit, snap, whatever. It's just like everybody's just like super positive. We're just cheering on each other. It's just like that's the culture I always like being in. We're just, even in jiu-jitsu, and you and one of your boys are kind of just going at it. Everybody is like peanut gallery yelling, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That just pumping you up. Oh, you're going to let him get away with that? And just back and forth, just same thing.
Little bit of banter.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all in good spirits and all in good jest and kind of encouraging.
To push you a little harder, a little bit more, just knowing that you can do better, but at the same time, you're just having a blast too. Is trying to one up each other in like a positive way and not trying to flex on each other. And
yeah, I think that's where people have a popular misconception around a lot of martial arts, and that is there's actually a lot of humility on the mat, and there's a lot of respect shown to the person that you're sparring with or wrestling with or whatever you call it. People immediately think, oh, you do martial arts, you want to go and whip someone's ass. But it's not about that.
Yeah. It's about that balance. It's just, even just can see it. Like, this is a drama-free place. People get off of work. They want to come over here, get a solid full-body workout, beat on each other, and just go home. Like, sometimes you're going home thinking, oh, man, that was a rough day. But at the same time, it's like, like you forget about how rough work was, too. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Same with surfing. I mean, you get out there and sometimes you get dealt.
Yep.
And you get a proper work.
Yep.
But it's that psychological understanding that each wave that you push through and each beating that you get, and it's like a cleansing.
Yep.
It's like getting rid of
makes those good days even better, just because like you had those bad days. You had those bad days on the mat. You had those bad days when the waves weren't cooperating with you. But then it's the same thing. Your training partner, you have to respect them. Same like you have to respect the ocean, because the wave's not always going to be there. If you don't show the ocean respect, it's not going to take care of you. Same with your training partner. They could easily, like, you tap, and they can pull on it a little bit more. You never know what the ocean's going to do, too. So just all
unpredictable.
Respectful. Yeah.
So now, family man? Are you family man? How many kids have you got?
3. All close in age too, 5, 4, and 3.
Amazing. I've got 2 boys, so I understand it, and 6 and 8. That's quite a humbling experience, right? Becoming a dad.
Yeah.
How did you react or respond to fatherhood?
I was stoked. I always kind of wanted to be a dad this way. I didn't even care if it was a girl or a boy. I got my son initially, and then my fiance has a boy and a girl, 5 and 3, and then my son is 4-year-old. He actually has preschool right around here too, so cool. Yeah. But I was just like stoked. It was like, especially like his first time crying and everything when he came out. Yeah, it was like probably the most specialist moments, pretty much.
Yeah, you can't recreate, you can't relive it. The emotions when you see a child being born, and you know that you've been a part of that incredible process. It's like nothing gets close. not surfing, not on the mat. It's
Yeah.
just like that one special moment.
Yeah.
You're sitting here in your studio, but how did your jiu-jitsu journey start? I mean, at what age?
Around 23, 24. I was actually, since I came straight from riding motorcycle, I was like more of a heavy set. I think I was trying to get back into shape. I was probably around 240 pounds. And it wasn't a good weight for me to be walking around at all. I just was trying to look for something to do. I started doing, my dad was teaching HPD, like a MMA course, and then he had a bunch of fighters that were fighting. And it was actually a classmate of mine, Yancy Medeiros, that was in the UFC and PFL now, I think. But he was actually whooping all my dad's fighters. And that was a good friend and classmate of mine. I canoe paddled Hawaiian studies with him and everything. And so my dad was like, and I grew up with martial arts too with my dad. So he's like, oh, come back, train some of the guys, or maybe we can even get you ready. And I was like heavier too, so I needed to get into shape too. So working out, I did a few kickboxing, MMA fights. Didn't like getting punched in the face. Like, I was too heavy to be fighting at a lot of those weights. I was fighting at like 205. I think the promotions were a little sketchy down here, where a lot of my fighters would pull out, and then finally they're like, oh, we got to fill in for you. And then I just take it because I was so desperate. I was training so hard just to find out, like, the fighter I'm fighting is like 7-0. And I was like just desperate. I was like, okay, I'll take it. It's like last minute. Almost got beaten so badly a few of my fights. And then I realized it was kind of getting sketchy. Like, that kept happening. So then I was like, maybe started doing kickboxing, then wanted to go back into MMA. So I was like, oh, I got to learn groundwork. So then looking for a jiu-jitsu school, went in and sat in at a lot of schools. And then one of the schools, Mad Tiger up it was in Waipio and Milani. They were just doing it out of rec centers. And all my friends that I used to ride motorcycles with were training over there. So it was like a comfortable environment already. Training, I think my first or second day training, like Eric Gu, my instructor from white to black belt, was the instructor there. And like, I guess they're getting ready for a tournament. Everybody was training like how you saw over here. And like, he hotboxed them. So he closed all the doors, told everybody, nobody can leave until like everybody's done with their rounds. And I was like, it's only my second class, completely out of shape. I was like I think I fought 3 guys, and then I was done. And
You were going to get sick.
Yeah, I was about to like throw up. These are guys like, I was around 210, 205. These guys are probably like 160. And like over here, like looking at Macy, you'd think like, oh, I'm going to smash this guy. But when you feel how technical these small jiu-jitsu guys are, I was just like, oh, these guys are on steroids. These guys are freakishly strong. I can't do anything to them. They're throwing me around. I was the bigger guy too. That's why like I got 20, 30 pounds, 40 pounds on all these guys. And I was like, what is going on? All these guys are on steroids or something. But it was like, it's an eye-opener right there. I was like, I need to figure out what the heck is going on. Came back. And then it's pretty consistent. So my instructor told me, I was like, hey, there's a tournament coming up. Probably training for 3 months, 2 months. And he was like, oh, just try. I got in, got first in no-gi, second in gi. And it was like insane because everything I did, I fought karate, kickboxing, MMA, competed in like skate events and whatnot. Never did any surfing things. I still wasn't surfing yet when I started jiu-jitsu, that's why. But it was just like, I almost was like getting nauseated and about to throw up because the tournament, they would like all white belts go into this big room. And they'll be calling the weight divisions. Everybody stands up as they call your name to the door. So they're just putting everybody that's fighting in one big room. And you're looking around like some of these guys are like twice your size. Like, you're just still thinking like, this guy cannot be in my weight class. This guy cannot be in my weight class. You're getting all nervous. And then they're calling us out. Fought my division, won, no gi. Second in gi. And I was just hooked. It was just a crazy adrenaline dump too. Started training harder, competing consistent. Was able to pick up a sponsor. They're in information too. Royals are, they're now they're Royals, but they're J Spirit back then. And then they were paying for all my tournament entries, which helped a lot. And I was consistent, competing, win, lose, but just super consistent. I feel like I don't force any of my students to compete, but I know how fast it made me grow competing. Like, whether I win or lose, it's just always, I could always fine-tune my mistakes. So I was like super blessed to get that sponsorship at just like a low-level blue belt. Started getting a lot of sponsorship for like protein and everything. I had like a juicing company that sponsored me. Then I got sponsored my gis, which helped me a lot because a gi already is like, a kimono is like around $180. Nowadays they go for like $280, which is insane.
That's expensive, eh?
Yeah.
$280 for a kimono.
Yeah.
I mean, how many do you traditionally have? One or two?
Well, you need a bunch if you're gonna be training, because I would train almost like twice a day, every day. At first, when I started, it was like 3 times a week would just be crazy amount. Then it was 5. Then it was like 7. And then I couldn't take off. It was almost like running. I just describe it as like running downhill. If I stop, everything catches up to me. I'm just going to hit the wall. Same like when my body, like everybody to today thinks I take one day off, which is Thursdays now, but I don't know. It's just still like I still got to go work out or go surf or do something to keep my body going. Because if I just lay around, I feel like my body starts tensing up, my fingers. I've broken these fingers so many times already, so yeah,
Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just from gripping and like grips being broke, I ripped or someone falling on it. Yeah.
Do you know how many times you've broken them? They look pretty. They look pretty gnarled, bro. I must say. I've got to take a photo of your fingers. You can see them in the camera there. Wild. So those kimonos over there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they leave them here and then.
Yeah. So these are all the loaners. When people kind of, it's like anything else. Like you find your brand, your style, your fitting, and when people are just like done with it, a lot of these are loaners that people donated for. These are like when people try out classes. You know, you don't want to invest $180 into a gi when you never even tried one class yet. So we allow them to just borrow.
Oh, okay. I thought they were the students' ones that they leave here, but
no.
Okay, that's cool. And so in terms of like the belt, we all know what black belt is. Yeah. But what is the pinnacle? What is the highest belt that you can achieve in jiu-jitsu?
Coral belt, red belt. Yeah, a lot of takes pretty long.
Are you a coral belt?
No, it's like the degrees are all up there at the bottom, that red belt.
I'll take a photo of that.
Yeah. But
Do you get like Dan as well? First Dan, like in karate, they've got Dan.
the
like
stripes? Or
Yes, yeah.
So I'm a 2-stripe black belt. Every 3 years, you get 1 stripe once you're a black belt. But in jiu-jitsu, the lower belts, it's all up to your instructor. Sometimes there's like a month-to-month that they'll do, like especially for kids. It's like an incentive. That's why for kids to stay.
Okay, gotcha.
But there's a black bar at the end of the belt, and then you just put like a white tape on it. You're allowed like 4 of them, and then the next is just your next belt, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you get to coral, like what are you? Like a grandmaster?
Grandmaster, yeah.
How long would that normally take? How many? Like a few decades?
I forget. I gotta look at that actually. I know a lot of people I kind of came up looking up to or have been getting their coral belts, but I never really looked too deep into it. I never really was too much of a belt chaser, which
Okay, is that what you call it? Belt chasers.
Yeah, just,
You get guys who are belt chasers.
just like, when am I gonna get my next belt? I think I'm ready for my next belt. I was just always competing at such a high level that I didn't really want to go to that next level. My instructor gave me it was like clear that he gave me 2 years at every belt, because I had blue belt. I did every Worlds. I would have 2 shots at Worlds, and it was always in May. So like even until, once I started my jiu-jitsu journey, my birthday is always May 19th, and Worlds is at the end of May, rolling into June. But I would never celebrate my birthday because that was one of the things I always wanted to win, a world championship.
And have you?
No. Like, I've gotten always close. That's why I was like, second year, I would always make it super far in my division. And then right after that tournament's over, I would be awarded my next belt. I would go into, and I was working Cycle City at the time, Harley Davidson. So, like, it was definitely tough because I'd use all my vacation time to travel to, and I'd only be able to fight the majors. It really helps. Like, even after when I finally quit working for Harley Davidson, I moved up to San Jose, and I was like training correct. I was chasing all the little tournaments that would build up to the world championship, and it made a lot of sense. Like, you need to chase those little ones, you accumulate points, and then you get your seed on the brackets. Pretty much, you get to say which side of the bracket you want. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't see. It changed a lot since the last time I've seen it. I went to the IBJJF bracketing. You go there. The instructors have to go there, though, in order to move you around. So I think I got up to like maybe 50, 40 points, and I was able to get moved around. So I started winning more tournaments, no problem, because I could put myself on the side where these guys have no points. I want to fight all these guys. I want to fight the champ on the first place podium, pretty much. So you can place yourself in the brackets a lot better.
So what would you say your highest achievement at a professional level would have been in your career?
Nothing really competing-wise, just opening up this school and just honestly just pushing everybody to do exactly what I've been doing and just at a faster pace, honestly. Yeah, it's like my students winning all these big team championships have been probably more important. Just how well they work together to just build each other up so fast. Like the programs, like it took me a long time to understand jiu-jitsu. I've gotten a lot of injuries. I broke my elbow, 2 blown ACLs, meniscus, shoulder problems, neck problems. But I can avoid all of that with a lot of my students by just telling them how they can still stay on the mats with their injuries, how to avoid it, just drop their ego where they're not injuring it anymore, but still maintain consistency on the mats. This was a blessing where I was able to get hurt so much that I always stayed on the mats. That's why even when I was injured, even after my ACL surgery, I was right back on the mats, but just a way of working around everything. Yeah.
So you've kind of been for want of a better word, you've been the guinea pig.
Yeah.
You've gone through the hard knocks.
Yeah.
And now you're able to help them fast track or actually divert and get around having to go through the same knocks that you've sustained.
Yeah, for sure.
What does the future look like? I know you don't like to plan things. You don't like to plan next week, but what is have you got any future aspirations?
Definitely more, especially with having family and everything, but just getting this the school is overgrown itself already. I've been trying to look for a bigger location and even offer a little bit more. Like when I opened this up, there was gym equipment back there. So if anybody were injured, it was gym equipment overlooking the mats. I just wanted a space where everybody could always stay consistent, stay healthy on the mats. I teach conditioning. I used to teach a little bit of striking, but we have a striking coach now. And then just the jiu-jitsu. But I just wanted a bigger space where I can kind of build a better format, where I wrote everything out, where I did CrossFit before too. So I wanted to do, everywhere I've traveled, I've been able to drop in at all different schools, and I have an idea. Everybody enjoyed how I built this school as is, this front area where the kids can play, not play, but just wait over here, there's TV playing, the kids are all getting along, especially during COVID, everybody got so separated, where when they started being training and being over here, everybody started getting more social. I think if COVID separated people a lot, that's why.
You created a family vibe.
Yeah.
And they can come. I came here in the evening and there were just kids hanging and on their little PlayStations or whatever they play on, their Nintendos, and just interacting with each other. So it's like a bit of a chill spot, hang spot for the kids.
Yeah. keep them away from trouble and whatnot. Yeah. But just expand where I can offer. Like I deal a lot with recovery stuff too. I do ice baths, saunas. I have that all at my house, but I wanted to share that with all the athletes too, because that does help me to stay consistent with what I'm doing. Just everything that helped me with staying consistent. Even we're doing like a thing right there is like a family beach day. I wanted to kind of get majority of the kids, teens, adults that Macy, I think, is going to help me since we're going to do it at Barbers. We're going to have like all the boards over there to get them that lifestyle of training, surfing, just enjoying.
Getting that balance.
Balance, yeah.
Absolutely amazing, Jeremy. And it's been an absolute treat to come here from a very long way and get to chat to you, to hear about your story, your narrative. It sounds like you've enjoyed the journey thus far.
Yep.
You've lived what I would deem a very stable life, but you've also put yourself out there and you've gone through some knocks. You've been through some tough times on the mat, and you've overcome those things. Really appreciate your time. Vast really appreciates you, and thank you so much for sitting down and having a chat to me. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.